You never listen. Has your wife ever looked you straight in the eyes and said those words? If she has, I bet your first reaction sounded something like, "What do you mean I don't listen? I remember exactly what you just said." I know my reaction certainly did whenever I heard those words. And honestly, that's exactly why these conversations keep going in circles. When your wife says you never listen, she's usually not talking about your hearing at all. So today, I'm going to show you the mistake that almost every husband makes when he hears those words, because almost nobody explains what they actually mean. Something that I know a lot of men deal with, and I would just get burned over and over again myself, was focusing so much on listening to her words. I'm a very logical and rational guy, so whenever I would listen to what words were being said to me, I would always have a very quick rebuttal based on logic to whatever was being said. And I would get told that I never listened. And then I would basically cause an argument because I was so frustrated, because I know for a fact that I listened and paid attention to every word that was said. So I know I listened. And you know what? Technically, I was right. I was so good at listening and being able to come back quickly with a counterpoint to almost out-logic what she was saying, that the entire mistake I was making over and over kept going right over my head. She's not using the standard that I thought, and most likely you believe as well. And I kept getting the same result over and over again until I realized I am clearly messing something up somewhere. Your wife isn't measuring listening by how much of the words or information you absorbed. That definitely helps, but it isn't the main standard. She's measuring it by how she felt while she was talking to you. It's like going to your favorite restaurant. The waiter got your order exactly right. Every single detail, even if you were one of those type that do a lot of modifications. The food arrived exactly as you requested. However, the entire time you were at the restaurant, the waiter rushed you, interrupted you, barely looked at you, and made you feel like he wanted you to leave. Technically, he did his job right. But what would you remember afterward? Not the accuracy of how great he remembered your order perfectly, but the rest of the experience is going to overshadow everything. Your wife will look at it in a similar way. She's not going to walk away thinking, "He remembered everything I said." Again, that is a great thing to be able to do as well, but what she will be looking at and remembering is if she felt dismissed as she was trying to convey her emotions. Did she feel rushed and like you were so eager to kind of jump in and get your turn to speak so you could try and fix her instead of understand her? It all boils down to, did she feel safe enough to fully express what was on her mind? I don't want you to get discouraged though, because just like I talk to so many clients on coaching calls and potential clients on discovery calls, there are so many good guys that are not doing these things intentionally to try and make their wife feel like she is unheard. Similar to you, most likely you are trying to solve the problem and you really care to make things better. And as great as that is, it can still make her feel like you haven't understood what the experience has actually been like for her. You see, you have yourself trying to solve and her trying to be understood emotionally before anything can even really get solved. It's like square peg, round hole. You're thinking, man, I listened to her for 15, 20 minutes and she's like, this guy never really heard me. Look at how frustrating that is from a bird's eye view. If you don't have the bird's eye view understanding, this is where our first instinct will always lead to more problems in the relationship, because you're ultimately convincing your wife she will never be heard. That first instinct is usually what? Well, let's run through a conversation here that it is a high percentage chance you have had with your wife before. Your wife says our favorite phrase, "You never listen to me." And your brain starts to, in nanoseconds by the way, build a case of defense statements. That's not true. I remember exactly what you told me. You're being unfair. Sound familiar? Familiar to me for sure, and it kind of gave me chills just saying those statements. It's almost automatic to us, because if someone straight up tells you that you never listen but you know you do, it feels like they're directly attacking your character and your motives. So up go the defenses like Iron Man's suit rapidly deploying around him. It's a natural instinct, but while you're busy proving that you listen to her, she's still trying to communicate why she feels unheard. And really, you can admit to yourself that you feel sort of the same way. You're on two different wavelengths, so you both feel unheard in your own ways. This is something I really had to struggle and learn myself, and it's something that I coach men through all the time. Your first responsibility in these conversations isn't to decide whether she's objectively right. You have to start turning your focus on why she experienced the conversation the way she did, and really start to understand the conversation she is actually trying to have. Because she is trying to have a different conversation. So let's go a bit deeper into that for a second, because I think this will really help you gain the perspective that is needed. Have you ever walked away from a conversation with your wife thinking, I literally have no idea what she wanted me to say to her? I have. I know you probably have, and most men have. When you're having these arguments about dishes or taking out the garbage or the way you responded yesterday or to something that happened 3 months ago, we all get lost in the sauce of trying to solve that topic or issue. Again, with our defense system powering up very quickly. And we completely miss the conversation she's actually trying to have underneath. How many times has your wife told you, you never help out around the house, or you never help with the kids? And you basically do a quick file folder search of your memory and come up with one really fast. What do you mean? I emptied the dishwasher yesterday. I mowed the lawn on Saturday. I took the garbage out this morning. Yada, yada, yada. It just becomes this courtroom of her prosecuting you and you presenting all this evidence in defense. It gets so far off track and into another fight that worsens. The reality is, what she's really trying to describe is her emotional experience. And as much as the facts we present make sense to us, you're essentially trying to correct her with facts that have no bearing on her emotional experience. Because when this festers on long enough in your relationship, she's often trying to convey her feelings of loneliness, disappointment, exhaustion, or something else emotionally, but it's coming to the surface during these seemingly minute issues or squabbles. I have to be honest. Very few wives are actually trying to win an argument. Yeah, there's exceptions, and I get that, but most are trying to communicate an experience they've struggled to put into words. And when you only respond to the facts, you accidentally leave that experience untouched. So one thing you can start doing, which will help you in the communication with your wife by miles, is instead of assuming you know exactly what your wife means when she says things like that to you, slow yourself down enough to check your understanding. You can straight up ask her questions instead of just running to the defenses. That will automatically help you out with her emotions as long as you are asking half-decent questions. If she says you don't help out around the house, pulling out the old mental Rolodex to find the last time you did will lead you down a path of disconnection. You can ask her, it sounds like you are feeling pretty frustrated and feel like I haven't been pulling my weight around here. Like, is that what you're trying to tell me? You're trying to understand what's making her feel that way, or why she's lashing out at you. And if you start asking questions instead of assuming, you might actually find a deeper root cause of her frustrations beyond just helping out around the house. So the next time you get caught in an unpleasant position of being told that you never listen, even though you know you heard her words, don't think about the words themselves. Take a moment to holster your quick response in frustration and think about what she may be saying emotionally from an experienced perspective, because that is what will start to get you close to solving the real issue instead of the surface level one. Then, before you offer your opinion or a fact to just shut her down, try putting that emotion into your own words and simply ask, is that what you've been trying to tell me? You might be surprised how often the conversation changes right there. Now, I want to leave you with one final thought. If you've gotten to this point, you're actually going to start making changes in your relationship because you care. You also know that your wife wasn't asking you to become better at remembering conversations. You should be doing that and caring about what she says and asking her questions. But she wasn't handing you a communication test that you somehow kept failing. She was trying to help you understand what it actually felt like to be in a relationship with you. You can now start treating every conversation like it is quietly teaching your wife something about who you are becoming, because it is if you start showing up the right way in those conversations. And why I want to make this video is because I think too many men hear you never listen and they immediately start trying to improve their communication, which is great. Like I said, that is something we have to be doing and it has a great impact. But if you just focus on communication techniques such as better eye contact, it will often take your focus away from the question your wife is generally really asking in reality, which is, can she trust the man she is talking to? So from today forward, don't hear "you'll never listen" as an accusation. Think of it like an invitation. It will change the way you show up if you start seeing things with the right perspective. I know Jim Rohn used to say, turn frustration into fascination. Instead of being frustrated by something, be fascinated about it to learn more. This is a great principle to apply to communication with your wife, because the invitation she is giving you when she says you never listen is the invitation to become curious about the experience she's having with you as her emotions tell it. If you become more fascinated and interested in understanding that rather than defending, your conversations and that connection with your wife will change drastically over time. Those conversations also help to begin changing the entire relationship dynamic itself. So hopefully this video helped you realize that your wife isn't asking you to have a better memory, but is really asking for a different experience. And if you realize that now, then I also invite you to go watch my free Relationship Rebuild Masterclass, because understanding why these conversations keep happening is an important first step, but knowing how to consistently show up as the grounded leader of the relationship when emotions are high, old patterns start showing up, and the stakes feel enormous, well, that's where most men struggle on their own. So inside that masterclass, I'm going to walk you through the same core principles I teach men that I coach, so you can start rebuilding the trust, emotional safety, and leadership that healthy marriages are built on. I'll leave the link for that free masterclass in the description and pinned comment below. Now, if you not only struggle to stay out of arguments with your wife, but also have a hard time knowing what to say after you've had one, check out this next video by clicking right here.